Today I'm joined by Newstalk presenter and social justice activist Dil Wickremasinghe. This week on Twitter, Dil announces she was expecting her first child with her fiancée Anne-Marie. Now, in the run-up to the same-sex marriage referendum, Dil will be one of the people at the forefront of the Yes campaign. Dil, thanks very much for joining us, and congratulations on the great news.
Thank you very much. My God, no pressure.
No pressure. I've decided there, that's what you're going to be doing.
Scared.
But how are you feeling?
Oh, feeling absolutely ecstatic, walking on air, because the thing is, when you go through fertility treatment, we've known about this for the last 3 months. I mean, literally from the time that we went through the egg collection and transfer and all that. So it's like the oldest news for us. And actually, I'm quite surprised I was able to hold it this long. And of course, we broke it yesterday and literally walking on air. But from a point of view of pregnancy, first question people ask, how's the nausea, how's the fatigue levels? Nausea is great, absolutely under control. I take a lot of fresh ginger, so that's fine. Fatigue, I think that will catch up with me when the baby is born, because as a 41-year-old woman, I'd say my energy reserves will be pretty thin running after a little toddler.
Yeah. We'll get back to that in a little bit, but do you think 15 years ago, nearly 15 years ago when you moved to Ireland, that you'd be in this position? What did you think?
Well, I always dreamed about, meeting my soulmate and having a family, like many people. But you just don't know in this life whether you're going to be that blessed. And for me, I after moving to Ireland 15 years ago, I only met Anne-Marie 4 years ago. So it was really in the last 4 years that this all became possible to me. And there were days, of course, like anyone who has been single or has been in relationships that maybe were not going anywhere, you kind of lose hope a little bit, but then everything worked out for the best, so it's great.
And before you were in Ireland, you were in Sri Lanka, and it wasn't an easy life there for a gay woman.
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm a social justice activist, Jason, because I have experienced a lot of injustice in my life. I grew up in Italy and in Sri Lanka. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, so very conservative. I experienced child abuse as well when I was 14 years old. I got expelled from school. I was an early school leaver.
What were you expelled from school for?
Because I failed my junior cert,
okay.
And because the abuse happened just around my junior cert, and that just impacted me psychologically, and just couldn't sit and do an exam. And as a result, I got expelled from school. And then literally a year later, I realized about my sexuality. And when my parents found out, being Jehovah's Witnesses, they were actually encouraged by the elders of the congregation to actually kick me out of the family home. And I can't believe that a religion that, all religions preach love. And in this particular situation, they actually encouraged parents to turn their back on their own child. So
that was when you were 15?
Yeah, that was when I was 17.
17.
So I was homeless from the age of 17 to around 20. And that's when I got a job. I got myself back on my feet. I depended on a lot of... I was couch surfing.
Okay.
I had friends and maybe distant relatives that would kind of offer me a place to stay. And then when I was 20, I managed to get a job in Sri Lankan radio. And I was delighted, Jason, because I knew the moment I started working in media, I knew this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But sadly, it was short-lived, because 6 months later on, my boss found out I was gay and fired me from the job. And that made me realize, I was 19, 20, living in Sri Lanka, I realized that the only way I could live a full life as a openly, lesbian woman was to emigrate. And like so many LGBT people around the world, I was forced to emigrate. So I immigrated from Sri Lanka to Bahrain. I got a job as a flight attendant, tea, coffee, working for an island for 5 years. And then in 2000, I arrived in Ireland because I always gravitated towards Irish people. I knew I wanted to return to Europe. And the beauty of it, quite serendipitously, my arrival in Ireland coincided with Dublin Gay Pride. So within 24 hours of stepping foot on Irish soil, I found myself dancing and marching down O'Connell Street singing "It's Raining Men." I mean, the irony of it all,
I'll just rewind a little bit there. When you said when you were in your teenage years, you were living on the streets. Did you have any contact with people, any family members, any friends during that time?
See, do I have contact with them now?
No, at that time.
See, the problem was because... See, my parents became Jehovah's Witnesses when I was 13, 14. And being part of this particular religion, they do encourage you to cut people off who are not in the religion, So it was quite isolating, because literally everyone that was around me, that was family or friends or just people in my community, were all connected to Jehovah's Witnesses. So when my parents kicked me out of the family home, they then turned their back on me.
Okay.
So it was really, really quite hard for me to find people, and even from a family perspective, I suppose the relatives that were not Jehovah's Witnesses, they were hesitant to help me, because I suppose if they helped me, they would have been going against my family's wishes. So it was really tough time in my life. And Sri Lanka, unlike Ireland, there really aren't any resources for homeless people, you know. So you're really at the mercy of just friends. And there were girls that I was dating that their families would take, her family would take me in, and just little by little, I'd rebuilt my own confidence and got back on my feet.